There are a couple of sort of principles that I'd like to sort of cover as well. I think one of the things that sort of stuck with me is like Charlie Munger's mental models. I'm a big fan of Charlie Munger, and for folks that
Mm.
don't know who he is, he's sort of almost the second in charge at Berkshire, so helps out Warren Buffett, and just one of the smartest people you'll ever meet. And he's got this interesting mental model called like the Lattice theory. And I think this is really relevant for grads and folks listening to the show. And lattice theory is all about what are the developing niches in one area, but also working on developing experience and skill sets in another area that it's totally unrelated, right? And you put those together and you find where the overlap is. And it's that in that overlap where you'll have a lot of growth. So what do I mean by this? So for example, and this is a really good case for entrepreneurs as well. So if you're an accountant, but you're also interested in dance and the arts, figure out what the overlaps are between that. Can I be a financial advisor for a creative dance company? Or we'll figure out what the overlaps are, and you'll find a ton of opportunities in those overlaps. If you're an engineer, but also are into design, figure out what overlaps exist between those industries and sort of dive in there. If you're a builder, but also are really into cars, figure out what the overlaps are between that and dive into that. So it's almost like I call it the lattice theory. It's this mental model of figuring out exactly what are my current skills and interests and passions, and also try to develop sort of something else that's totally unrelated. Also develop that skills and expertise in that area, and over
Mm.
time, you'll figure out that the overlap in those seemingly unrelated areas, you'll find a lot of growth and opportunities in there as well. So a really good example, I sort of picked this up from this YouTuber called Ali Abdal. I'm sure you've probably heard of him. I feel like a lot of people
Yeah.
have. But this is a YouTuber that combines med and like being a medical student and being an entrepreneur. And he's able to combine these seemingly unrelated things and do so well because he's in a space that there aren't many people right now, right? So the ability to combine two or three different niches and find what's the overlapping area, and see if you can be in that space, you'll find that you're the only one there, and you'll do really well. So d- I'm not sure if that sort of makes sense, James, but that's a mental model that's stuck with me for a while.
Yeah. No, I like that a lot, and I've heard that. Even we've spoken about Tim Ferriss a few times today, but I've heard him describe that as well. And there's a guy called Scott Adams. I don't know if you've heard of him, but
Yeah,
he talks about this too, where it's like the stacking of things, and like you've said, where the crossover between things allows you to be, if you're the best, like if you're a good accountant and a good public speaker, for example, then maybe you're a really good public speaker about accounting
right.
stuff,
Yeah,
right? And then you
exactly.
can
Yeah,
as soon as you stack on like two or three of those, you can become really good and one of the best few people at that kind of niche thing that there won't be many people who are also good
sure.
at that thing.
Yeah, and I always give this advice for a lot of my friends who are sort of creatives, whether you're a musician or you're a chef, you're in that creative industry. If you can find another skill set that you don't have to be an expert in, but remotely proficient, see where the overlaps are and see if you can be in that overlapping space. Because you'll find that there aren't that many people in that space, and yeah, you'll find a lot of opportunities there. So I'd encourage sort of grads to think about that as well.